Hello, and welcome to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. I'm your host, Laurel Boivin, and I am so glad you're here with me today. This episode, we are talking about moving from loss to purpose. Now, over the last several weeks, we have been talking about loss. We started the month with loss as an invitation. And then we talked with Rachel Pollack about making peace with loss. And Laurel and I had a great conversation about loss, disappointment, and letting go. And what has come to me in all of this focus on loss is it is often loss that is an opportunity for us to find more purpose in our life. This place of moving from loss to purpose really does require us to look ahead, to have hope, to open our heart and our eyes for opportunities. So before we dive into this conversation about moving from loss to purpose, I want to take a moment and introduce myself a little further and introduce you to my co-host, Laurel Holland. So I am Laurel Boivin. I am a life and leadership coach, a speaker, and a podcaster. You'll find more information about me and the work I do in the show notes. And Laurel Holland, my dear friend and podcast partner, she's also a life coach and an author. You'll find information about her and the work she does, the books that she has written in the show notes. So let's talk about moving from loss to purpose. As we get into this conversation today, I have to ask you, what does purpose mean to you? What does purpose mean? You know, purpose is one of those words that we often hear, but sometimes it feels a little abstract, especially when dealing with loss. Purpose seems almost impossible when we are in the midst of loss. But if we really look at what purpose is on an everyday basis, really just an ordinary day, purpose is the reason we get up in the morning. It's the why behind what we do, how we show up in the world, how we lead, how we engage. Purpose is what brings us to life. And if there's something I've learned about purpose, personally and through my clients, we can't discover our purpose until something breaks us open. You know, for me, purpose came and clarity came at the end of my corporate career when I started to really feel the loss. As I started to really feel into that loss, what emerged was potential, opportunity, and purpose. You know, loss has a way of revealing what truly matters to us. It clarifies things for us. It helps quiet the noise and distraction. And it's in that stillness, in that ache of loss, we can find opportunity. We can find a path forward. You know, it's not always loud or obvious. Like purpose isn't like harps playing from the heavens. Sometimes it's very quiet. And when we're in the thick of loss, whether it's a loss of a person, a role, a dream, or even a version of ourselves, purpose can find a way to us, even when it feels far away. And I really do believe this, that loss isn't the end of a story. Loss wasn't the end of my story. Loss is not the end of your story. It can be the beginning of something even bigger, something even deeper, more aligned and more meaningful. I want to share a couple of examples with you of people who have transformed loss into purpose. And as I was thinking about this episode and what I was going to speak into with you today, a few people came to mind. The first one is Gabrielle Giffords. She is a former U.S. Congresswoman who survived an assassination attempt in 2011. In this assassination attempt, she suffered a traumatic brain injury. She had to relearn how to walk and speak, and she had to step away from a career that she loved. But that wasn't the end for her. It was the beginning of something greater. Gabrielle founded a national movement to end gun violence. Her advocacy, her voice, became a beacon of hope for survivors and families across the country. That's what it means to move from loss to purpose. And then there's Amanda Gorman. In 2021, Amanda became the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history when she used her voice through poetry to inspire a nation. You know, it's interesting, as a child, Amanda had a speech impediment and auditory processing challenge, things that maybe would have had her shrinking back or staying quiet, but instead she leaned in. She found her voice in poetry, and she embraced what made her different. And that's purpose, rising up from struggle, from adversity. That is a great example of what is possible when we allow loss or limitation to shape something meaningful within us, to change us and have us bring more purpose into our life. And then there's my friend, Angela Whitten. Now, Angela is not as renowned or famous as Amanda or Gabrielle, but Angela is a woman who has moved from loss to purpose. In 2022, she lost her 18-year-old son, Trent Gibson, to suicide. In the midst of unimaginable grief, Angela chose to create something meaningful in his honor. She co-founded a nonprofit, Stay for Life. Stay for Life is dedicated to raising awareness around mental health and suicide prevention. Angela's story reminds us that purpose can rise out of pain, that our deepest heartbreak can become a powerful force for healing and hope in the world. Angela is a great example of moving from loss to purpose. I'm going to make sure in the show notes that we have contact information, including the website for Stay for Life. It's an amazing organization. So, thinking about moving from loss to purpose, what does it look like for you? What loss have you encountered? What loss are you still dealing with and healing through? How can you move from loss to purpose? You know, moving from loss to purpose doesn't always come with a roadmap. There are no instructions. It's something that we figure out as we are healing and going through loss. It often starts with a small shift, a little question, a simple curiosity, a whisper, a calling, a longing. It might look like reconnecting with what you value most. It could be finding yourself drawn to help others going through something similar or the same thing. It could be exploring a creative outlet that helps you process your loss. Or it might be simply allowing yourself to ask, what now? Moving from loss to purpose is not about rushing forward. It's not about letting something push at you. It's about letting something real and meaningful rise up in its own time, in your own time. If you're in that space right now, dealing with loss, having just recovered from loss, and you're wondering what purpose might look like for you on the other side of your loss, here are some gentle practices that you might try. The first one is asking, what remains? Ask yourself, what still feels true for me? What values, interests, or passions have stayed with me through this season of loss? The answers to these questions are often clues that might help you discover a deeper purpose. The second practice is what I call following the pull. You know, purpose, it pulls on our heartstrings. It might be a nudge. It might be that quiet whisper. Notice what brings you peace, what feels meaningful, even in small ways, and begin to follow that, explore that, be curious about that. The third practice is reflective journaling, and I have 3 journal prompts for you. I will put these journal prompts and other questions in the show notes. The first one, if this loss is shaping me and not breaking me, what might it be revealing? The second, what have I come to understand more deeply because of this experience? And the third, who might benefit from the wisdom I've gained through this experience? You might be surprised what emerges when you give yourself some space to reflect on these questions and answer them from your heart and your intuition. If you are ready to move from loss to purpose and you would like support, I want to invite you to consider coaching with me. Together, we will uncover what lights you up, and that will help you take the meaningful, aligned steps forward that you need to take. I would love to support you. If you need support, just know I'm here for you. And as we close this month's conversation about loss, I want you to remember this. Loss may change you, but it also can inspire you. It can bring clarity and help you discover purpose and help you live your purpose. And when you share your purpose with others, when you are living your purpose, the world is a more beautiful place. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you are experiencing loss and you need support, there are a lot of resources available to you. It might be a grief circle, a support group, counseling, therapy, or coaching. There are resources to help you heal and grow. And if you need help finding the right support or available resources, please let me know. Laurel and I are here to help you. And if this episode touched you, if it resonated with you, please share it with someone you care about. And don't forget, we have more episodes coming every Monday, some with Laurel, some with me, and some with both of us. That's it for this week. Be well, keep doing your inner work, and keep creating your beautiful life. Bye for now.